So I wanted to have a look at the simplest parametric equation using trigonometry, which I actually think is the unit circle. So all it requires is a bit of an understanding of basic trigonometry and your exact values, and then you can start to begin having a think about parametric equations. So the first question we might want to think about is, what is a parametric equation? And I think the key is in the name. So a parametric equation is an equation that depends on another parameter, hence the name parametric. So sometimes we call that parameter t. So when we're doing real world problems, that t usually represents time. So as you can see on this diagram here, we've got our unit circle. As we've seen before, we know that the x coordinate on the unit circle can be represented by cosine of the angle that's created in here. Now, the only thing we've done at the moment is we've changed this, what used to be theta for represent angle, just change it to t. And this sine of t is the y coordinate, shall we say, of this point on the unit circle based on this, again, parameter t. So what we're saying is that our parameter that we have is t, and that's going to be changing since it's on the unit circle from 0 all the way around to 2 pi. So we can see we've just got the first few exact values here. But what we're saying is we can see that our x value is going to be equal to cosine of t. And so we get all these values here, which is just our exact values table. And we can see that they can remind ourselves from the graphs of cosine and sine. When t is 0, cosine is 1. Okay, and when down here, when t is pi on 2, cosine is 0. And so now what this represents, we bring it all together as a set of coordinates. You know, we've got the coordinate 0, 1. That's going to be on our unit circle. We've got the coordinate 1/2, root 3 on 2, when t is pi on 3. So what we can see is that we've parameterized our unit circle using this parameterization up here, x equals cosine t and y equals sine t. And then basically, yeah, that just represents the coordinates. So if we come across here and if we have a look at what that actually looks like in action, all we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, our x value is cosine of t. I'm just going to call it t sub 1 for because I have to. And then we call the other one t sub 1. Don't worry about the sub 1. It's just a way I need to write it so that it'll work out the way I want. And what that's going to do is going to allow us to create a slider. And we're just going to let that slider, which is our parameter t, go between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, and if we play this animation quickly, we can see this actually traces out a circle, which is what we saw before. So again, what we're saying is that the x-coordinate is just given by cosine of our parameter t, and the y-coordinate is given by sine of that parameter t, and t varies between 0 and 2 pi. And then it just begins to start repeating again and again. So if we change this to show trace, this to make it even clearer, now it's actually just going to trace out the unit circle for us. So hopefully you can see that that is probably the most basic trigonometric parameterization that we can do. And hopefully you found that useful.